Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Cope English, partner and managing broker of the agency Chattanooga. Welcome to Real Chat, where we explore all things Chattanooga, people, places, and properties that make the scenic city so attractive. Whether you're buying your first home, selling your fifth, relocating for work, or tax advantages, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we break down current real estate trends, talk with local Chattanoogans making a difference, feature places that we love, and share our stories from the trenches that both entertain and surprise. No confusing jargon, no sales pitch, just honest conversations with real Chattanoogans and practical advice to help you buy, sell, lease, and live better in the greater Chattanooga area. Thanks for joining us, and let's get into today's episode. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
I'm glad you are here.
Same.
I hope so. After this, I don't know if you'll enjoy that as much. So, Jason Evans, real estate agent and father, husband. You do a lot of stuff in our community. So we are sitting here in our office in downtown Chattanooga, the agency Chattanooga. And we have people in here going about the day. So there are things happening because our real estate office is very busy. And you are very busy. I know you have a lot going on. So thanks for taking the time first. Tell me a little bit about your decision to come work with the agency, which at the time was our former company, Scout Realtor Group, but we have been together for a couple of years, and I have my recollection of that story, but I want to just hear a little bit about what your thoughts were.
Yeah, thank you. And when I said I'm glad to be here, I actually was thinking about being with the agency.
Cool.
And the opportunity to share my thoughts and philosophy, because that's a real big part of who I am, is the philosophy that drives me, that guides me, my values, my beliefs. Everything I do comes out of that. And so why I'm here, why I'm at the agency, is because I really, really love the idea of collaboration. I saw it right on the website when I first saw Scout Realtor Group, now the agency,
Right.
was this idea that really what we do cohesively, collaboratively.
It's a hard word.
It is. I shouldn't have picked it on, took it on. Means that there's a potential that isn't limited to what I can do in my own limits, my own restrictions, my own psychological stuff that I'm going through in life. That there's actually another level that I can reach because I have a team.
But do you remember when, how we met, I think is a good story. I tell this story as a training to agents because let's admit, the bar's not always that high. Bar's pretty low, I think, and I love my industry, and there are a lot of great agents out there, but we all know that there are some who just, not bad people, they just need more training. And I will never forget when we talked about collaboration, and you said to me, wow, it wasn't just a mission statement on your website. You guys actually are collaborative. And that struck me. It meant a lot to me because I think that there are people out there or there's businesses, they'll say, these are our values, but do they really live up to their values? And when you said that to me, and coming from someone like you, it made me feel really good because that was the dream, that was the hope. And I feel like we live that every day, but you saying it meant a lot to me personally.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why that matters to me. But yeah, you mentioned the story, and I didn't give you a story. So when, I guess it was probably about 2018, 2019, our market here was going bananas. People were making offers on everything moving, $20,000 above list, no inspections, no appraisals.
Yeah, I think it was actually 2020.
Whatever they could do to get the job done and get a house, only to, most of these cases, a year or two later go, what did I buy and what did I do? But that was the market.
Yeah,
You had to get aggressive, and realtors accommodated that. But one of the things that was kind of hard to keep up with was all the people whose offers were rejected.
Yeah.
And so a lot of offers also means a lot of rejections. And so it's easier to kind of move on and just say, either here's a blanket email saying, sorry, everybody, your offers are rejected, or what was more common in my experience is that folks weren't even letting you know your offer was rejected.
It's very common still to this day, which is unfortunate because we're not using or we're not experiencing 15 offers like at that time, because I vividly remember that particular house in that particular situation, 13 offers. I think 15 total, 13 legit. One buyer actually had their offer received, but I did sit down and write individual rejections and had it signed and sent to all the agents. And you responded to me with a kind of like a wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Never got a rejection this nice before.
It was more than just a rejection. It was a wow factor because there was honor in the rejection. You know, if you are rejected, say in a relationship, or you lose a job or something you aspire to, how that rejection is handled restores dignity and gives you confidence to keep going.
Yeah.
But if that rejection is a dismissal, that rejection is an invalidation, that is it's not even worth it. You tried this. Move on. Stop. Right. Many buyers, we probably don't even know how many, just stop trying. Give up on that dream because the way the rejection was handled did not restore dignity. And so as a result, who knows how much we crippled the market in a market that really could have kept on thriving in the way that it was. And so what happened was I received an email with the rejection, but I also received
I remember writing
an email that said, here's why we rejected your offer. We appreciate that you made the offer and sorry, wish it could have worked out for you.
Right.
And that I had never received anything like that, especially in that market. That took time and intentionality, and it showed a greater respect for not just the transaction, because the transaction was already moving forward with the other buyer. Why care about the people who were rejected? Why not just celebrate your win?
You always pull out these philosophical things and all that you do, and I love that. I don't think many people, especially I don't think many real estate agents don't do that. And I think that's where sitting down that evening and writing those emails, you know, my intention was to do what I thought was the right thing, which was let another real estate agent, a colleague, understand, you know, hey, thank you, you took the time, because you and I know how long it takes to write these documents. But I also do it because I wanted one of the agents whose offers were rejected to understand why. Hey, they went with a conventional loan, or they went with a VA loan, whatever the case was, and this was the buyer situation versus your offer. Because number one, I want the agents to be sharper. I want them to learn. And how do we learn if we don't understand what happened and what transpired? So that's the main reason.
Our work.
But what you just said takes it a step further, which is you got to go to your client and say, hey, I got this rejection email, and here's how your offer matched up or did not match up. And that you can use as you make the next offer. So that's really the intent of it from my point of view. But really, I would think it makes the buyer go, okay, I appreciate that. How many times do we have a client say, have you heard anything? And you're like, hadn't heard anything. Well, it's already expired. Yeah, I still hadn't heard anything. It's sad for our profession that someone doesn't take the time to give you more input.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And as an industry, even though there is a competitive piece, there's a back and forth negotiations that happen from transaction. There's even a gamesmanship in this business where you try to listen for clues about whether or not I can get an extra $5,000. And there's a gamesmanship to this business that we have to learn. And it's a lot of fun, actually, once you really learn the secrets. But dignity and recognizing that, I guess, we're a community. And you wouldn't go to your neighbor and punch him in the face because you still live next to him. Probably not the best example. But there's a certain sense in which you want to honor your neighbor because they're your neighbor. You might need them to watch your house one day when there's someone prowling in your backyard. You might need them.
You usually cross paths with the person on the other side.
Yeah.
Most often, and that's the thing I do love about this industry is, and I say this to my clients a lot, who you work with matters. And their track record matters. Their reputation matters. It's hard to get. It's hard to get another agent, a client to understand this. But when I get an offer from someone I've done business with and it's been a good transaction, it's gone well, gone smoothly, I'm excited about that. If I get an offer from an agent that does not pick up the phone, does not respond, their paperwork is subpar, that they really need more training, I have to be honest with my client and say, I've not had a good track record with this person. And that does weigh on my client going, well, okay, there's the offer or offers, if they're especially multiple competing offers. Sometimes it's not about the terms, it's about the agent. Will the agent see this through? Will they do things timely according to the contract? Because the contracts have deadlines, they have performance deadlines. And so I think that does factor in a lot.
I'd like to comment on that. I'm a believer, a Christian, and there's one thing about my faith that I particularly love, and that's this idea that the love that we give others doesn't originate from us. It's kind of a pass through from God through us.
Yeah, I agree.
What makes love fail, in a way that I comments on this subject, is when we get in the way. Our own needs, our own priorities, our own goals, our own insecurities, we end up kind of stopping the flow and making it about us. But love done right reveals him.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's something about you that doesn't fit what I would have expected. And as realtors, whether you ascribe to that same value system or not, sometimes we get in the way because of our own ambitions and needs. And we need to learn how to represent in a way that lets the relationship, the values, the needs of our clients kind of pass on through, rather than us kind of try to make it about us.
What
makes a good
realtor?
What makes a good realtor is someone who can kind of put themselves aside, be professional, do good work, represent your clients' needs, advocate for their needs and stuff, but don't take the show. It's not about you. You have to learn how to get out of the way so they're taken care of. And in the market in which I first came to scout, the agency, I saw a glimpse of a much greater real estate industry. And that was really what mattered to me, not just a great company. I've been in this business now for over 20 years.
Right.
And so I've seen great companies, I've seen great missions, philosophies, and goals. But I've always wanted to be a part of something that actually changed the ecosystem of real estate. I want to be a part of something that says we're changing the game and the way it's played, and we're doing it in a way that restores dignity and honor and gives people encouragement to do more deals and gives them confidence that they're not a passenger in their life, but they're actually able to succeed, thrive, and build wealth.
Yep. I know that the industry is constantly evolving, but to your point, I have been in real estate. Next year will be 30 years that I've been in the industry.
Congratulations and thank you.
I know, I don't look it. But I've been at several companies, and I went to different companies because of mission statements and kind of like what was happening at the time. Real estate has completely evolved. The company that I first went to was a company that was all about growth. It was a huge office, and while I really loved what I learned there, it was a very competitive office. And I remember feeling very isolated. And I think that's the thing that I wanted to change when we decided, hey, maybe we should open our own firm, because I wasn't getting, I think, the collaboration that I felt was necessary. A lot of brokers point people in the direction of being competitive, go, and, do more deals and all of that. But really and truly, when you've been in the industry as long as I have and you have, you want something more than that. And you also realize that if I'm going to serve my clients best, I'm not the best at everything. I'm not a jack of all trades. Well, so I need to partner up with somebody who is better at commercial or is better at inspections and handling that kind of stuff than I am. So I feel like that was something we set out to do, and we've been pretty successful at it, as you know, and we've experienced.
Yeah, a
but
lot of growth.
I know,
and that's part of getting out of
Yeah.
the way, which may not make sense because you think you're hiring a professional who's going to kind of drive the situation. They're going to quarterback it. They're going to drive the vehicle, so to speak. They're going to take me to where I want to go. My philosophy has always been, I need to teach you how to drive, because you need to make a lot of decisions when you're buying a home and selling a home.
yeah.
And I may not be
You do.
wise
You're-
enough and discerning
you're
enough
much more of
to
a
make all of
trainer.
those decisions
Yeah.
in a way that complements not just where you are now, but where you want to be 5, 10 years from now. I may not quite know you well enough. Now, I can try, but the goal is to say, here's how you need to think, and here's how I'm going to coach you so that you can make all those
Yeah.
decisions well in a way that takes care of you, your family, your goals, and your dreams.
And it's not just buying the house. It is, as their homeowners, if somebody buys a house, then you're training them on, here's what you look for, the maintenance, pay attention to these things, because this is your greatest asset now and you need to take care of it.
Well, more
and
than
so
that,
you have to train.
It's not just about that current transaction, it's also about your next transaction, which is when
Of
you
course.
sell it. And so even if you're able to, I like to think this way. I like to encourage my clients to not only think about what you like about this home, but what do you need to consider about this home for the next buyer.
Because it is an investment.
It is an investment.
It's an investment, and I think too, when somebody becomes from a buyer, they've lived in it, now they're becoming a seller, they have to start to look at it as not the home, but as the property or the house. We talk about that a lot in this office, how emotion plays an important role, and when you really do properly train someone to build wealth, they have to detach and say, okay, this is an asset, and this is what I need to do to make this asset most valuable.
Yeah,
So
and
it is a
depending-
process.
And
But
depending
I,
on the person, sometimes you call them to detach and be a little bit kind of third party, kind of how should I look at this transaction? How should I do it well? This home purchase. But I also like to think of it as kind of seeing the purchase as part of a series of conversations and decisions about your
yeah.
future.
gosh, how many conversations do we have with people? What do they say? We do 178 things in one transaction. So
At least.
At least.
Probably more like
Well,
1,000.
unfortunately, I think we have to wrap up.
All right.
And I want to have more conversations with you. There's so much to talk about. We have a lot of good stories. It's always a roller coaster in this industry, but one thing I will say about you are probably our most steady Eddie kind of person who you just keep going, keep pushing through for your clients. And I know that's really what drives you. So I appreciate you being a part of our group here at the agency. And I do love our origin story, which we should elaborate on again at some point. But there's a lot that we've done together, and I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be with
thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Indeed.
Michael Turner, owner of Huck Peck.
Yes.
And before we talk about how we met, I want you to share Huck Peck, where that came from, because you told me the story, and it is a cool name.
So Huck and Peck were my grandparents' nicknames. And
Mother or father's side?
on my mother's side.
Okay.
And I was really trying to find a name where I could get the World Wide Web, that I would want to wake up every morning and go to work and get this done. I'd come up with some really ridiculous names. And I one morning woke up and I went, Huck and Peck. And something just hit me and I called my mom. I said, would it be okay if I used your parents' name in my store name? And she said, of course. She said, but you may want to call your uncle. My uncle's kind of a businessman in our family. And so I called him up, and of course he wanted the full regalia, 20-minute conversation about why I was using their name. And he gave me the blessing, and then I hung up the phone, and 2 minutes later he's calling me again. So I picked it up. He said, don't mess it up.
Yeah.
So I knew at that point I had to make this thing good.
In all good business ventures, a story is important. Even in real estate, it's important. But Now, I'm sure people ask you this all the time. Where'd the name come from?
They were classy people, and they were, the greatest generation. They worked hard.
Were they here in Chattanooga?
They were in, well, he was out of Decatur originally, but they were in Gordon, Georgia, which most people haven't heard of. It's near Macon. But, they entertained, and because he had been in World War II, he was cultured, and, he'd been out of the country and was in the Air Force. And, so I just felt like their history was what I wanted to base the store on.
Right. Right.
So
when people walk in, of course, I've been in your store 1,000 times.
Thank you.
When did you open?
So this is our 10th year.
10th year.
10th year.
Wow. And kind of like in the history of me talking to people lately, it's been about 10 years or so. But I think, and I'll tell where we met, or at least my recollection of where we met, but what we do have in common is we're very, very big proponents of local.
Local.
I always come to you and I beat you up over prices, but I think the local connection is so important.
It is.
And I have referred lots of people to you. I have recommended you. We've used you. You've done model homes. You've
Absolutely.
helped with staging. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Our office furniture, when we opened our Riverton office, you remember, I had a wonderful designer go to your shop and pick things out. And we have a lot of those pieces today, which I love. But
and they still work 10 years later.
They do work 10 years later. I know. We talked about this. The furniture here,
Yep.
courtesy of Huck and Peck, not 100% courtesy, but that's the thing. If I needed to get furniture for something, I always go to you first.
Thank you.
Yeah, always go to you first.
And we were talking a second ago about how we met. One of the people that introduced us, Brian May Create, he did our logo.
Oh, okay.
So when I was 10 years ago getting ready to get a logo made, you can go outside of the city. You can go and do other things. Now you can go online. You could digitize.
Have AI create
it, what have you. But I went to Brian and I said, I want you to get this done for me. And that was a neat process because I got to see how he does things, and how he wanted me to make a mood board. At that point, I'd never made a mood board in my life, of what I thought.
I think Brian May and mood board went together, but I guess so.
Well, it's sort of like an idea behind the idea.
Right.
I put a picture of my grandparents on it.
Yeah.
I put there was lots of different things that came together, and
the logo does go with the story. That's cool.
Thanks.
Speaking of local, it's keeping the money locally because you employ people here.
Sure.
So if we don't keep you in business, this is like other businesses I talk about, local businesses, boutiques and shops and restaurants. Those are the people that are earning their paycheck from a local business owner. Their money is into our economy through rent or a mortgage. It's just so important, I think. I know people can order. As a matter of fact, I do harp on a lot. A lot of people order things off of all of the big names, but I just don't have a good feeling when I'm shopping at, on my phone, and I know that there's a store right down the street, and you might not have the same thing, but if I make a conscious decision to go drive there and support a local business, I'm really helping myself.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people really get that anymore.
No.
I mean, I think you have to point it out to people, and usually it's the younger generation that it's just the way they've always known it. But you mentioned the greatest generation a little while ago, and they're not accustomed, obviously, to shopping online. But I do know a lot of boomers who love shopping online.
Sure.
My mom is one of them.
Yeah. Well, the pictures are fancy. They look wonderful, but the pictures don't always tell the story.
Oh yeah, you and I talk about that. Shopping online, the quality when it looks gorgeous, it shows up, it's a hunk of junk, and you feel duped. But what do you do?
Yeah, and then you've got a box that's, 4 foot by 7 inches, and now it's got 700 pieces in it, and you have to put it together, and it squeaks in 3 days. Parts don't go together, and like you said, how do you get it back? How do you get the return authorized, et cetera? But I think it's even more so that coming in and talking with people that genuinely want to help you. There's a difference between our furniture store and other furniture stores, and the main difference is that we're non-commissioned. So we're not in there having to sell you the things off our floor that day. We're there to make you happy and to find your unique thing. We're a service, and we want to give you that service. We want to talk to you about what your needs are and how you use the piece of furniture and why you need that piece of furniture there, why you need that size, or let us help you with the sizing. And I do think AI and internet has its place, but when we're talking about our house and when we're talking about something you're going to use for 5, 7, 10 years, to get the real money out of it.
It's interesting you say 5, 7, 10 because we bought a new sofa from you, I think 4 years ago, and then the sofa before that we bought from you in 2017. So 2017 until 2022.
Right.
Wow.
We just picked up a sofa from a lady's house that we're donating.
Yeah.
She bought it from us 8 years ago. And she just bought her newest one. And we're able to donate the one that she bought from us before because it still holds up. It still looks great. But she's tired of the look. She was ready to move on and try something new. And going to find someone that could actually reupholster nowadays, there's nobody. Nobody reupholsters anymore.
That's a lost art.
It's a lost art.
Yeah. I think I have furniture that I took to be reupholstered. And I left it there. And I think they went out of business. Oh, my gosh. Matter of fact, Derek could confirm this. I'm pretty sure it's true. There was a place over in Real Chatt that did that. And I think we dropped it off and we're like, we got to go back and find the fabric. And then we just never went back.
But, in your industry, when you go to a home as opposed to seeing the MLS listing, it's a big difference.
It is very
different.
The
pictures as opposed to being on site, the pictures as to walking through the primary bedroom or the primary bathroom or the kitchen, things they leave out, they want to leave out. Things they want to put out front, they put out front. But the things that they want to hide, they can't when you show up. So
no, but
being there and being present.
This is something I just thought of as you're talking. I, as a real estate agent, I say I don't see things. I don't see the furniture. I don't see the decor. When I go to a listing appointment, I go and I only absorb literally the house, where the windows, how much natural light, what's the floor plan, what's the flow, what's the view, quality, condition, all of those things, hardwood versus carpet. I will take a mental picture of their furnishings because there is one key difference. I think, and we talk about presentation this in our line of work all the time, when I walk into someone's home and they have, I would say, good furniture, I'm just saying good furniture, or it's arranged well. Their home, the presentation is better, so the photography is better.
Right.
So the person that sees it online, 100%, they're absorbing the way this house looks with the furniture.
Sure. And that's from the staging. That's from the staging side of it. I was even talking about what you just keyed in on. You're looking at, whether it's solid or whether it's engineered or whether it's this. That's the same way we need to talk about furniture. What's on the inside of that sofa?
Yeah.
The outsides all
look the same. I know
you
probably get really frustrated with people like me because I look at how it looks and I look at the price.
Yeah.
Which is probably how people it is how people shop for homes.
Sure.
And then I'm the one. So here we are, we're switching seats. I'm the one that's saying, hold on, it may look good, because there's a lot of flipped houses out there that truly is lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
And it kind of infuriates me because I think people spend money because it looks good, and then a year or two later, things start to fall apart. Same thing with the furniture, the boxed furniture that comes in that you order because it was such a great price. But the ultimate thing is you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Gold is gold, silver is silver, copper is copper. You're going to pay gold price for gold. You're going to pay silver price for silver. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, if you want me to find you the copper sofa, I'll find the copper sofa for you.
You actually have a copper sofa in your store, and I think it's beautiful. As a matter of fact, it's kind of, I say copper, the color of that pillow, which is a Huck Peck pillow.
Yeah.
Huck Peck.
Velvet so in. I mean, people love velvet. Oh, and now with the performance velvets.
This is my second green velvet sofa in a few years, which I do love it. Which I fell in love with the velvet sofa, being at Bryan in Aaron's house.
They were early to the velvet.
It's like a navy or blue. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that is how we met, is through mutual friends.
Yeah.
I remember you being at the Maze at what is that when you dump all the shrimp and
Yeah. Boil.
Low Country Boil.
Yeah.
So that was at their house, I think at Downing Green. Yeah. And I feel like that's the first place I met you. Even though Brian, you, and Alvaro were friends, and then I was friends with Alvaro. Well, I said the Four Musketeers. It was four of us that always hung out together. And that was way back during my single years.
We got to know each other much better when Aaron got into the mix.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
That was so much fun.
For sure. I know. Yeah. Yesterday was a tough day a bit. So
Yeah, for all of us.
Anyway, let's talk about I think the way that you guys do furniture is different than most furniture stores I've gone in. When I walk into your store, I'm always greeted. I'm usually offered, would you like something to drink? Do you need help or not? You guys are not pressure people, which I love, because I walk through that store, and I think everybody has to do this probably 15 times, and I see something different every time. But y'all don't hover. And if you need something, you're just, they're really an eye shot away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anybody to bother me when I'm shopping, especially for furniture, until I need them, and then I just want to be able to glance up and see them.
Yeah.
And that's really the whole experience there.
Well, let's be honest. We're Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're supposed to have Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
All right. So greeted, watered,
Yeah.
or Coke, or whatever it
Yeah.
is you want to have. We want you to stay a while. We want you to walk around. We want you to feel comfortable that you got your kids with you. We want you to feel comfortable that the family's there taking a look. And I feel like I go to a lot of furniture stores that don't even want you to sit on the furniture.
Yeah.
I've actually been in furniture
You
stores
don't
before.
feel comfortable. You don't feel comfortable enough. You definitely have that at your store, which you just mentioned people walking around. We talked about doing it's a sip and shop.
Yeah.
Sip and shop.
Sip and chops.
So do you do those
Oh, absolutely.
regularly?
And we really like to include 2 or 3 other companies.
Yeah.
Real estate agents
Yeah.
or what
I've
have
had
you,
one of those
restaurants.
there. That was a long time
we
ago.
did one a while back with El Primo, and they brought their sangria. We were putting it on performance fabrics to show people how the red wine came out. We did one with Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary moonshine.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
And had a signature drink. And so we do different things like that all the time, and that's community, that's involvement. But it's really Southern hospitality, and we've got a lot of people moving here from outside of the South. And
I know.
I want those folks to experience the
I've sent some
good parts
Californians
of
there.
it. Yeah,
And they enjoyed it.
They really enjoyed it. I had a Californian in today, and he was returning, and he had been at some other places where he didn't feel as comfortable because it's that, we call it shopper stalkers. We don't have shopper stalkers because, you're trying to make decisions. You're trying to have adult conversations with your significant other. Sometimes we get involved in those.
But you've had a lot of disputes on the floor, and then you're like, who do I agree with?
We've taken some counseling courses so that we diffuse the situations.
Been a couple with me and Derek. He has his version of what he wants to see, and then I have mine, and I do that old. I guess it would be Southern in a way, but it's more gender specific. Like, well, I get to do the decorating and you get the garage kind of thing, which is not fair.
Right.
No. And actually, he has great taste.
But I will say this, to give you credit, when he came in with you the other day, you said he had a very good eye for color.
Yeah, he does.
And that he knew what he was talking about. And so you deferred to him on the rug, actually, on this rug. So
I ask him all the time. I'll put a whole outfit on and I'll say, what do you think? And he's honest. But in a good way.
Yeah.
But I'll say, or I'll go which shoes or which jacket, and he's good at that. I mean, he does.
No question,
I'm
you
with
both
him
have
because
taste.
he was a sharp dresser, I think.
Yeah.
One of the first things I was drawn to, I suppose. How big is the store? It's
so
big.
the showroom is 17,000 square feet. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's large. But we we include a lot into that. We have people don't even know that we sell mattresses. People don't know that we sell rugs. People don't know that we sell outdoor furniture.
Mirrors,
But
lighting.
It's so many
The rugs
things.
are impressive, and I think of you because I think when we first met, you worked at another business in town in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And you did a lot of travel because I guess importing, like your rugs. I mean, you get rugs from the Middle East, but you also get rugs from Dalton. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you tell me, But travel, do you still travel like you used to?
Not like I used to.
You go to market.
Correct. I was a buyer, then a VP, and then the president of Southeastern Salvage, and we love that side of my life. That other side of my life. It was a lot of fun. The travel was brutal sometimes, but over 100 trips to Asia, whether that be India, China, Thailand, Vietnam. I don't travel like that anymore. I haven't been out of the country since COVID, from a standpoint of for the store. I mean, obviously, I've been to the beach and that kind of stuff. But as far as on buying trips,
so your things come from market.
Yeah,
primarily.
we source most of our stuff now from market.
That's North Carolina, is
Two
correct?
times a year. There's also Vegas
Atlanta.
markets, New York markets, Atlanta markets, Dallas markets. It kind of depends because many of those markets choose an area and they say this is kind of what we do better than most. If you're looking for lighting, you want to go to the Dallas market because they're going to have a lot more lighting involved.
Really?
Atlanta used to be the big rug market, but the rug market kind of transitioned to High Point, and now they do outdoor furniture in Atlanta. So it just kind of depends. Obviously, I do a lot of that. I go a lot to the factories themselves here in the States, and a lot to the warehouses here in the States. But when you're buying by container, you're buying 400 to 700 pieces of something at a time, and I don't need 400 to 700 pieces at my store here in Chattanooga. I really want to be able to stick and move. Buy something, put it out, let people see it, and then move to the next item and keep it fresh. We're 2 to 3 years behind usually in Chattanooga, the trends, but that's changing. That's changing because
the real estate market's very similar as far as like houses, house plans, house designs, colors.
Sure.
Gray definitely gone, but I mean, me being in the industry, I knew gray was gone before a lot of consumers knew gray was gone.
Right.
Question for you is, with Chattanooga, which a lot of people are moving here, I would think that you're seeing design preferences change.
They are.
From probably majority of people are local. Now we've got these people coming in from elsewhere, and they're asking for different design, looks, and
so
aesthetics.
many more people are asking for mid-century modern than they used to, but that was popular 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. So, we're getting those types of questions. The lines are changing. The colors are changing, obviously. And like you said, you can't hardly give away a gray sofa right now.
Yeah.
It's hard. But
it was almost like the absence of color, and people want to go back to color.
And that tends to go along with people's feelings about the economy. When the economy's better, you're going to see more color. When the economy's better, you're going to see more golds and silvers. When the economy's bad, you're going to see all the color go out. And at the worst time, during our lifetime, the recession, 8 to 12, you could just see the color go out of everything. It just went to wood with no darkness and no hues, no colors. And I knew one time I went to market, there was a beautiful company that did product. Guild was in their name, but I can't remember the exact name of the company. But I remember when I walked in their showroom and they had no color whatsoever, I knew it was getting ready to change.
Oh,
because anytime a pendulum swings, right, you get all the way over here, it's going to swing back. And now we have color, and I've never been afraid of color. I love color, and it's I'm a little ADHD when it comes to buying. I tell people that all the time. I'm glad that I can be looking at pillows one day.
I'd say you're ADHD just in general, not
well,
just
I
in
have
mind.
been diagnosed, but I'm unmedicated, so.
Dangerous. Just means you can multitask, honestly. You're a good multitasker. Well, I know we could talk for days.
Absolutely.
There's so many things I wanted to ask you, and I think we need to talk again.
Okay.
But bottom line is, you and I go a ways back, but
Absolutely.
we are big on buying local. And that's why I wanted to have you on to talk, because I just think we have to support our local businesses. And you have a big one, and a lot of people know you. Actually, every time I go in your store, I see somebody that I know. They're a client, and part of me wants to say, you're not putting that on credit because you're about to close on a house. But we send a lot of people there, and I love seeing people.
Well,
there.
I'm looking forward to the agency Huck and Peck Sip and Shop. That's the next thing.
We'll have to schedule that soon. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
We'll also have to get you some agency magazines to lay around, some scout
absolutely.
guides, and all of that. But thanks for being here.
I tell people about you all the time.
Thank you. I tell people about you all the time, too. So Michael Turner, owner of Huck and Peck. We'll
Thanks,
see you
Becky.
next time.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.